During Tuesday night's game against the New York Islanders, where the Rangers came out with a 5-1 victory. In that game, we ended up seeing two injuries happen to the New York Rangers defense core, which saw the team end up playing quite a bit of the game with only 4 defensemen. But in that game, we ended up seeing one of the injuries be to a very important defenseman, the number 1 defenseman on this New York Rangers team, being Adam Fox. He's going to be out and missing some time there. So we're going to take a look at what that's going to mean for the Rangers, how long he's out for, what the defense pairs are looking like right now, as well as we'll take a look at what the other injury was, because there were multiple injuries in that game to the New York Rangers defense core against the Islanders. So we're going to take a look at that and kind of what this means for the team going forward and kind of how this could possibly affect the upcoming trade deadline as well. So let's get right into it here and take a look at the update that we got from Thursday's practice for the New York Rangers, as we ended up seeing K'Andre Miller skating in a non-contact jersey. So that's a bonus. At least he was out there on the ice practicing with the team, unlike another player, the other guy who got hurt, obviously, in Adam Fox. He is going to be missing quite a bit of time, it's expected, as Vince Mercogliano did tweet out on Wednesday saying Adam Fox is going on injured reserve per source. Sounds like there's belief he'll return before the end of the season, though. So at least there's that, I guess. There is a chance that, maybe the last, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks of the season, maybe he ends up coming back and helping this team try and make playoffs. We'll have to see where this team's at by then, obviously. It's definitely going to be interesting because, missing your top defenseman, your number 1 guy, a former Norris Trophy winner for an already not great decor, it's going to be a major loss for this team. So we'll have to see where, this team's at once Adam Fox is possible to return, but it's clearly a major loss for this team. You're losing your quarterback of the power play, your top defenseman by far, I would say. He's great offensively, great defensively, and maybe he hasn't been as good as he's been in the past, when he won that Norris Trophy, previously a couple seasons ago. Maybe, he hasn't been quite as good as that, but he's still been very good this season. I think one of the better defensemen in the entire NHL. Maybe he isn't playing like a Norris Trophy caliber player, but is still playing like a very, very good, top pairing number 1 caliber defenseman, in my opinion. So I think Fox is still great. Obviously, this injury sucks and is going to be, a big hit for this Rangers team. But I think there's still a chance that they can definitely still make playoffs. It's going to be a tight race. They're in the mix with 6 or 7 other teams right now for those 2 spots in the East. But it's going to be a fun battle here, I think, to watch. And, as fans, I think it's just going to be interesting to kind of see who is able to kind of hopefully step up in that spot there. Obviously, no one's going to be able to kind of really replace fully what Adam Fox, brings to this team. But I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of which young guy can possibly maybe take that step up in their game and really kind of play quite well and really impress the coaching staff and organization. A guy like Zach Jones, Matthew Robertson, maybe Eric Brandstrom. These guys are going to get some chances possibly and more of it at the NHL level. So we're going to have to see who is able to kind of step up possibly, and if anyone does. So I'm hopeful, that we see some of these young guys maybe step up there and do a really good job. We'll have to wait and see, but it's just going to be fun to watch, I think, here and kind of see which young defensemen are able to take that step up in their game while Adam Fox is out injured. But taking a look now at what Molly Walker had to say about the New York Rangers defense pairs at practice on Thursday, as she ended up posting on X saying, New York Rangers, Ryan Lindgren is skating with Urho Vakanainen, and Zach Jones is skating with Braden Schneider. And we also saw K'Andre Miller taking reps with Will Borgen. So I think that's pretty interesting there. You've got Miller and Borgen. Then you've got Schneider and Jones, who we've obviously seen together in the past, which, I think is going to be interesting to see how they can do once again. And then you've got Lindgren and Urho Vakanainen. Obviously not the best decor in the league, that's for sure, especially now that Adam Fox is out injured. But it's going to be interesting there to see how this kind of decor holds up. And, you take a look at those kind of 6 defensemen there that were, practicing there, obviously, on Thursday, that were listed by Molly Walker, being Zach Jones, Schneider, Will Borgen, K'Andre Miller, and Urho Vakanainen and Lindgren. The most experienced defenseman out of that bunch there, obviously with, Foxy not being in the mix there anymore with him being injured. The most experienced guy with the most games played at the NHL level is Ryan Lindgren with 386, being 27 years old. So I think it's just pretty wild there. The oldest guy, even with Fox in the lineup, is still Will Borgen at 28. But I think it just goes to show that something this team could definitely benefit from massively, especially to do this upcoming offseason, is to add in a veteran defenseman who is ideally big, tough, strong, physical defenseman that's not afraid to block shots, lay the body, fight if he has to, do all that kind of, tough stuff, but also just be a good, reliable defensive defenseman. Just a good veteran guy who's a bit tough and can play a strong defensive game. I think that's what this team has to add this upcoming offseason. I think it's just a must, and there's going to be some good targets out there in free agency, but even with having, Fox in the lineup there as well, he's now the most experienced guy with just over 400 games played. And it's not about the games played, but it's also about the lack of maybe a veteran guy in the back end there. And obviously Trouba maybe was that at a moment there, but we know there were a lot of other issues with Trouba and his massive defensive game that was a liability at moments. We know that. But maybe you can add in just a lot cheaper, obviously, guy than Trouba, not anywhere close to the $8 million mark, but you still add in a very good defenseman, whether it is like a second pairing caliber guy or what, doesn't really matter too much. It's the main thing of adding in that really good, veteran guy, and ideally, yes, it's a top 4 caliber guy, but just adding in a big, tough veteran defenseman who can play a good, strong defensive game and has, a lot of experience ideally and can be that physical force out there that we know this team needs to add more of. But having another back in there with that veteran experience and all that kind of stuff, I think just could do this team wonders. So, in my opinion, a big target and a big must for this team is to go out there and look and try and add in a big, tough, strong, dependable defensive defenseman at this, offseason. Whether it is via trade or in free agency, whatever it is, I think this team just needs to add in one of those kind of players who can just be that good, reliable defensive defenseman on the back end, who is ideally a veteran, because obviously this team is definitely lacking some experience on the back end there. I mean, it's not just about having a certain amount of games played, but if we're being honest here, I think adding in a veteran guy on the back end would just not be the worst thing at all. And now kind of talking about how this could possibly end up affecting the upcoming NHL trade deadline, which will be happening on March 7th. For the New York Rangers, I mean, being out a guy like Adam Fox is going to be a big loss, obviously. It's not going to help this team win more games, which they're obviously in a tough race right now. They're battling with, like I said, 6 or 7 other teams, you could say, for those 2 spots in the Eastern Conference and the wild card race there. So it's going to be a tough battle. I think they still can possibly do it, yes, but I don't think, going out there now, especially with Adam Fox being out and going out there and adding a bunch of guys is necessarily the right thing to do. I think maybe trading away guys like, even Lindgren still possibly wouldn't be the worst idea, although I'm not quite sure they're going to be necessarily looking to do that, but maybe they still are. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I could be wrong. But, a guy like Riley Smith, Jimmy Vesey, open up some spots for some of these young forwards that are in Hartford right now with the Wolfpack. I think could be a good idea. And on the back end now, I really wonder how this could affect a guy like Ryan Lindgren. I mean, I know a lot of Rangers fans kind of want to see him traded away, and I'm not against that either. I think getting back in S under 2 for him could be a really good thing. And he's also a player who I think will have some good value, and I still hope is going to be traded away, but I just kind of wonder what the plan is going to be for Ryan Lindgren at this upcoming trade deadline now with Adam Fox being out for quite a bit of time, it seems like. But carrying on, though, now and taking a look at Adam Fox's stats and kind of see what he's done so far this season, which he does have a total of 58 games played for the Rangers, 5 goals, 43 assists for 48 total points. He's a +5, has 3 of his 5 total goals at even strength and 27 of his 43 assists at even strength as well. He's got 83 block shots, 33 hits, averaging just over 23 minutes per night as well. So I would definitely say he's still one of the top defensemen in the entire NHL. Now, is he as good as he was a couple of seasons ago when he, won that Norris Trophy, for example? Probably not. I wouldn't say he is as good as impactful as he was in the past, but he's still a very good top-tier defenseman in the entire NHL, is still a number 1 caliber guy, but just may not be, up there, like right alongside guys like maybe Quinn Hughes and Evan Carr. Might just be that next tier back, but I think is still right up there with some of the best in the entire league. And isn't too far back of those kind of guys, but I just think maybe has taken a bit of a step back from previous seasons, although he is still quite phenomenal. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. And if you haven't already, definitely go down there and comment down below your thoughts on today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.